When you hear about Africa, you often hear about its beauty, its culture, and its potential. But beneath that potential lies a harsh reality that many African countries are among the poorest in the world. So this video is not about pointing fingers or painting Africa in a negative light. Rather, it is about seeing the full picture, recognizing the struggles, understanding the causes, and acknowledging the resilience of the people who live in these poor countries. In this video, we are diving into the 10 poorest countries in Africa based on 2025 GDP. Kindly take a moment to like this video and let's dive right into it. Number 1, we have South Sudan with a GDP per capita of $251. South Sudan is the world's youngest country, gaining independence in 2011. Although the country is rich in oil, years of civil war have devastated its infrastructure. Inflation is soaring, roads are nearly non-existent in rural areas, and around 75% of its population lives in extreme poverty. South Sudan is also a landlocked country, meaning that it has no access to the sea, making trade, especially oil exports, more expensive and difficult. With a population of approximately 11.5 million and a life expectancy of about 58 years, South Sudan continues to rely heavily on humanitarian aid. At number 2, we have Burundi with a GDP per capita of $490. Burundi is a small landlocked country in East Africa. Because it has no coastline, it depends on neighboring countries' ports, increasing trade costs and limiting access to global markets. Over 90% of its people rely on subsistence farming. Despite being agriculturally rich, Burundi faces chronic food insecurity and high childhood malnutrition rates due to political unrest and land pressure. The population is around 13 million, life expectancy is roughly 61 years, and the literacy rate hovers around 68%. At number 3, we have Central African Republic with a GDP per capita of $532. The Central African Republic, CAR, is landlocked and resource rich, but decades of armed conflict have left over 70% of its population in poverty. Being landlocked makes it dependent on neighboring countries for trade access, compounding delays, and costs. The population stands at about 5.6 million and the average life expectancy is 55 years. Access to healthcare and education is limited due to lack of infrastructure and insecurity. At number 4, we have Malawi with a GDP per capita of $580. Malawi is also a landlocked nation known as the warm heart of Africa, but with no direct access to seaports. Its imports and exports must pass through neighboring Mozambique or Tanzania, raising transportation costs. Malawi has a population of approximately 21 million and a life expectancy of 64 years. Agriculture employs over 80% of the workforce, but climate change and low investment limits food production. Major issues include poverty, malnutrition, and high disease burden, such as HIV/AIDS and malaria. At number 5, we have Madagascar with a GDP per capita of $595. Madagascar is also a landlocked country and it is a large island in the Indian Ocean. Despite its coastal position and tourism potential, political instability and environmental degradation, especially deforestation, hinder development. The country's population is around 30 million and life expectancy is about 66 years. Many rely on agriculture and over 70% live on less than $2 per day. At number 6, we've got Sudan with a GDP per capita of $625. Sudan is not landlocked and it has a coastline along the Red Sea. Yet, the country has faced decades of civil war, sanctions, and economic setbacks. Since South Sudan pulled out of Sudan in 2011, Sudan has lost much of its oil revenue. The population is around 47 million with a life expectancy of 65 years. Inflation, poverty, and political instability remain major challenges. At number 7, we have Mozambique with a GDP per capita of $663. Mozambique is also not landlocked. It has a long Indian Ocean coastline. Despite its access to sea trade, the country remains poor due to decades of war, corruption, and frequent natural disasters like cyclones. The population is around 34 million. Life expectancy is 62 years, and many rural communities lack infrastructure and basic services. At number 8, we have the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, with a GDP per capita of $743. The DRC is not landlocked. It has a small Atlantic coastline via the Congo River port of Matadi. Still, internal conflicts, poor road systems, and corruption make transportation and development very difficult. The population exceeds 100 million and the average life expectancy is about 60 years. The DRC is rich in cobalt and copper, yet it remains poor due to systemic instability. So sad. At number 9, we have Niger with a GDP per capita of $751. Niger is a fully landlocked country located in the Sahel region of West Africa. Its geographic position exposes it to extreme temperatures, long droughts, and food insecurity. Transporting goods is costly due to dependency on neighboring countries for port access. The population is approximately 29 million and life expectancy is about 60 years. Child marriage, low literacy, and limited access to healthcare persists. At number 10, we have Somalia with a GDP per capita of $766. Somalia is not landlocked. It has one of the longest coastlines in Africa along the Indian Ocean. Despite this, years of conflicts, terrorism, and weak governance have prevented economic progress. The population is around 18 million and the average life expectancy is 57 years. Many people in Somalia rely on remittances, livestock trade, and humanitarian aid. You may be asking, why are these countries poor in spite of their rich resources? It is not just about money, it is also about systems, history, geography, and politics. Many of these countries have experienced prolonged war and civil unrest. Several are landlocked, making trade and development difficult. Most of them also rely heavily on agriculture, leaving them vulnerable to climate change, and also corruption and weak governance prevents aid and resources from reaching those in need. But wait a minute, despite the pain, there is potential. Every one of those countries is filled with people who are dreaming, building, and hoping. People who refuse to give up. They have that tenacious African spirit. But the question is not whether they deserve better, it is whether the world is willing to invest in their future. Which of these countries' stories stood out for you the most? Let me know in the comments. Also, don't forget to like this video, share your comments with me, and please subscribe to this channel in case you are yet to subscribe. I remain Olaide Agbaje, also known as First Lady, and on this channel, I inspire you to live intentionally. I'll come your way again with another insightful video. Until then, be intentional.